All right, JSNIP4, YouTube. Interesting. With Brexit, well, they got to put it before Parliament still, and they may not be able to do that. And it's looking like it's going to happen. They're going to leave the EU. It's over. However, the mainstream news site, express.co.uk, mainstream news over there on that side of the pond covering this. Now shameless EU threatens the UK with an astronomical 500 billion euro Brexit divorce bill, so to speak. I would say, F you, go pound sand. We've been giving you billions every year to be part of the so-called European Union, in which none of us get to pick you guys, your unelected officials. And we've had enough. And you're bringing in these refugees, and they're causing all kinds of incredible problems. Incredibly bad problems. And now you think you're going to stick us with a bill? Yeah, listen. Step into my office. You're effing fired. That's how that conversation would go if I was over there. The European Parliament's top Brexit negotiator has said Britain could face a 500 billion euro Brexit divorce bill, 10 times the figure initially expected. Late last year, it was widely reported Eurocrats were planning on slapping the UK with a 50 billion euro exit bill as punishment for voting to abandon Brussels in the June referendum. The EU defended the demand as it argued Britain had unpaid paid budget commitments, pension liabilities, and loan guarantees to honor. Now let's think about that statement for a minute. They're saying that Britain had unpaid budget commitments. Forget that. More importantly, that sticks out to me, two things. Pension liabilities and loan guarantees to honor. And out of those two, pension liabilities. Let me ask you something. If you're in a country, the UK, Britain, there's no circumstance or scenario I can come up with in which I could see the people of that country, the government, the whole thing, responsible for a pension to anybody or any entity outside of the country. So what does that mean? Pension liabilities? What pension liabilities? For whom? Whose pension? Are you referring to the unelected officials who have a phenomenal pension that won't be cut? Like all the other pension videos I keep talking about, getting cut, people getting cut left and right. And by the way, speaking of pension, I gotta give a little street cred, if you will, to a subscriber that sent me an email when I was about me ragging on the Iron Workers Union because they just got screwed out of their pension. And he makes a fair point. And it's worthy of reading, because this is one of those guys, this is one of those people who was promised a pension. You work super hard your whole life, leaving your family for long periods of time, and in the end it'll be worth it because you're going to retire decently, not necessarily well off, but whatever, better than average. You're going to get your pension. In other words, the amount of work you put in now, you will be rewarded for it later. So work your butt off now, and then you got a nice little bonus coming to you. That's essentially what these people were told. Now again, the problem I have, the problem I have is when everybody through these loopholes takes advantage and says, "Oh, I'm going to work my butt off the last year so I can get a huge pension check the rest of my life," even though the other 39 years, like if they've worked 40 years, that's a long time, but the other 39 years, I work normal hours, but then the 40th I went crazy so I can get this huge pension. I got a problem with that, but this is not that guy. This is one of those guys that deserves it. He was promised it. It should be his. He deserves it. I want to read this to you real quick before I get back on the article. Mr. John. Hi, Joe. I've been following you for a while. I'm on a ironworker's pension, so this is the one I just talked about, and I'm sad to see what Local 17 Cleveland has had to do. We sold our home last summer for just that reason. reason. There's no D on the end of that, J Snoop. For just that reason, the fund has been sending cautionary letters about the status of our funds, Detroit, for a while. They have raised the contributions from the employers twice to keep it solvent, and work has been good. I worked hard 40 years and struggled at times to make 40 hours. These are some of the hardest working men you will ever meet. Traveling away from home and family, working through injuries that disable most. I thank God every day for my health and for waking me up to what is happening. I've raised 6 children, and through foster care, I'm raising 6 more. Just asking to show a little compassion for tradesmen who sacrifice for their families. Thanks for all you do, John, retired. John, you are that guy. You and the people you're talking about, you are those guys and girls. So should there be some women in that union? You put in your time. You worked your butt off. 40 years. Work hard, you'll get a bonus. Work hard, you'll get a bonus. Work hard, you'll get a bonus. We promise bonus time. Yeah, I can't. Well, but listen about that bonus. Need you to sell your house. You're not gonna be able to afford it. Need you to take a haircut on your pension. We got problem. It's not these people's fault. It's the people who promise the pension. It's always the people who promise the pension, and that includes government, because there's government pensions, but then there's also the private pensions, and they are both in the same boats because they need at least 8% returns per year, and there's always times throughout history, over and over and over again, it never fails, where they get sub 8% returns, thus destroying the pension system. Ultimately, we got to take more from employers. Got to raise it again. Got to raise it again. Now let's start sending out letters. We got to cut it. But again, with the whole pension union thing, let's look at it this way, because this is an issue. And while I feel for John, I respect everything you've done. You've deserved every bit of that. But on the other side, as a taxpayer, and maybe John, if you want to reply, email again, that would be cool. But I'm just curious, how much percentage of the work you've done in 40 years would you say was some type of government-funded project versus private sector? Reason I'm asking, because I got a sneaky suspicion it's going to be a lot heavier weighted on the government side. And when people are making $60, $70, $80 an hour for, labor jobs, that probably shouldn't pay more than $25, $30 in the private sector. We, the taxpayers, are footing that bill. We're being absolutely massively taken advantage of, because then the unions, they'll protest, take my money away, protest. The bridge can't get completed. The government building can't be completed. They can't lay down, concrete. And then we got a barrel of gun to our head. So on that side, there's the other argument. But at the same time, when someone's promised something and you work hard and here's the deal, sign here. Okay, I'm signing up. And then all of a sudden, listen about that deal. We're going to break that deal off. Sorry about that. You can't, you have to feel bad for a guy like John. The old thing I always rag on people about, doing the right thing. How do you do the right thing in a world that's doing the wrong thing constantly? Everybody. And this guy, 6 people, he already raised 6 children, is now trying to raise 6 more through foster care. My wife and I did foster care before we had kids. We had twin boys, or actually they're brothers, boys, and not twins. And then we had, before them, actually a girl named Victoria. And then, ultimately my wife got pregnant, so we stopped doing that. But I respect that big time. I mean, big time. So you hear something like that, it's heartbreaking. But at the other side is, we've been taken advantage of by unions with their outrageously high-priced fees, labor, and everything else for jobs that the private sector would love to have and pay a lot less for. So that has to be worked on. But I did have to give John some credit there, because he does make a valid point. He's the doing the right thing guy and got screwed, which I'm here to tell you, as I've been saying for years, that's going to be the story of the century. Everybody who's doing the right thing, you are going to be screwed. You will be screwed first, as a matter of fact, not screwed last. So back to the story This absurd $500 billion fee EU you owe us, pension liabilities and loan guarantees. At the time, Michael Barnier, the European Commission's chief Brexit negotiator, vowed to make the UK pay the sum in full as Theresa May prepares to trigger Article 50, which is the official "we're leaving your sorry butts." However, Guy Verhofstadt has now said he expects Britain to cough up over €500 billion to the European Union as it extricates itself from Brussels. BBC Newsnight host Evan Davis asked the former Belgian Prime Minister about the potential financial liabilities linked to Brexit, and he replied, "What I know is the outstanding commitments now and before Britain will leave the European Union will in total be around €600 billion. That's the reality, and you can find it in the accounts of the EU." Reacting to the inflammatory remarks, Gerard Batten, MEP, UKIP's Brexit spokesperson, said he should be told to get lost. So when I said earlier, F off, I guess I was accurate. If I was there, since I'm not there, my man Gerard, he's going to say it for me. He should be told to get lost. 44 years of EU membership has cost Britain billions in direct contributions, billions in implementing thousands of EU laws, and the loss of our fishing industry untold billions more, to name just a few of the staggering costs. Her Majesty's government should be sending the EU a bill. We were mad to join in the first place, and now let's just cut our losses and get out as quickly as possible. End quote. I think he nailed it. Last week, Lord Kerr, the Briton who wrote Article 50, also suggested the final exit figure could be higher than the previously quoted $50 billion. In December, Mr. Barnier told colleagues the UK will keep paying tens of billions annually into the EU budget until 2020. Let's think about that. Why are these member states paying, if this is one country, one member, paying tens of billions annually? Where's that money going? What's the EU doing with it? Nothing. Again, unelected officials, our nice lofty pension funds, Meanwhile, Greece, sorry about your luck. We're going to destroy your entire country, steal all your assets, public transportation, you name it, privatize it, sell it off to pay back a smidgen of what is owed on all this massive debt because we forced these loans down your throat that we know you can never pay off, and ultimately it will be written off, but not before we take every last thing from you. And that's currently what's happening in Greece as we speak. Unfortunately, it's happening so common now, it's almost, you might as well not even report on anything. It's just normal. At the time, former Work and Pensions Secretary and Leave campaigner Ian Duncan Smith described the figures as a dreadful joke. I would agree. He said the true figure will actually amount to peanuts. Mr. Duncan Smith said, "It's playing to the gallery to try and persuade Britain to beg for mercy. We will not. This is based on their fevered imagination, not reality. The Remainers will use this to try to stop Brexit. It's Project Fear all over again. It is utter, total rubbish from Mr. Barnier. You expect more? He will keep trying to get his mouth into the media. There are real questions about what we owe. It's probably peanuts. He is deploying the tactics of Project Fear, and the people won't believe it." Dominique Raab, a former justice minister, said, "Good luck with that. I'm not sure Monsieur Barnier, or is that Barnier, has quite mastered the art of expectation management, but it's good to know he's got a sense of humor." That's a fantastic quote. The Czech Republic's Europe minister, Thomas Proza, said the huge sums were the only things the UK has already committed itself to paying. When asked if British people should expect a bill worth tens of billions of pounds, Mr. Proza responded, "Definitely. This is what the UK has already committed to pay, and we would expect that the UK will honor its commitments. It will be one of the first issues coming up on the table." Yeah, listen, You can have a commitment when we're all a big part of it. You know, it's kind of like being married. We're going to commit, you know, to each other and everything else, family, and then you get divorced. And some, you know, I'll be darned, but some of those commitments all of a sudden change like overnight. Yeah, it's out of my hands now. We're not together. Can't really keep that commitment. So this is the same thing. You owe us tons. You've committed. There's no different than what we found when the Hillary Clinton Foundation was being brought up, email scandal, all that crap, and the president or prime minister of Iceland just, I'm standing down. Why are you standing down? Well, I thought everything was cool. And then it came out after he left. Oh, now we know why. He committed $13 million or so to the Clinton Foundation, to which $7 or so million had already made it. But he committed 13 in total. But guess what? It stopped. You got your 7, you're not getting the rest. I'm out. I got to leaving the country because people be pissed off at me. It's a commitment. It's a commitment. It means nothing. Yeah, I commit to do that. And then when you say, okay, here's my hand and give it to me, I change my mind. That's it. Bottom line.